So losing someone in your life certainly makes you think about your own mortality, and it's something that I've been thinking about because I'm in that box where online you click and the box drops down. I'm in that last box, the 55 and above box. There's not much room there for me to go, and the reason why that's in my mind is I was having a barber, a hairdresser, and the barber was quite older than me, and we were chatting away and he was asking my age and I was talking to him about different things. I lived in China and he was quite surprised that I was the age I was, and he said with his age he was quite happy to have lived to be the age he is because he's from the east side of Glasgow, which has a very low life expectancy. And I'd said to him, you may want to reconsider that because actually it's not as low as you think. The life expectancy in Glasgow is about 72 for a male, I think, around about that, 72. Maybe East End, Glasgow's a bit lower, but the life expectancy in Glasgow is about 72, which is low. The UK is about 81.5, America is about 77, and China is about 77.3, and it's rising. America is actually dropping, and he was quite surprised when I told him that. So anyway, I was out on an open top bus around Glasgow, and I'll share some of that video as I'm speaking so you can see some of Glasgow and you can see the wind and the rain because I got caught on an open top bus blown away. You can see that, you can see what Glasgow's like, but it is a rough old place, Glasgow, but it's a beautiful place. It's my hometown. It's great to talk to the hairdresser. I can just talk away. If I'm in Beijing, and obviously the conversation with the hairdresser is not that great because I have very limited Chinese, whereas in Glasgow I'm speaking my mother tongue here, so we're just rattling away talking about different things from politics all the way through to life expectancy, as I said. So it was a good conversation, and if you ever want to know what's happening in society, then talk to taxi drivers and talk to hairdressers. They'll tell you what's going on and how people are feeling because they listen to people all day long. If I was a finance guy, I would be jumping in and out of taxis and talking to taxi drivers and then going to the hairdressers and talking to them and asking them what the insight is about people's habits, beliefs and where they are financially, because it would give you a lot of insight. Anyway, we're on a bus tour going about Glasgow and enjoying that moment because I was reflecting a little bit more about my time in Glasgow and moments with the family and stuff. And it was just one of these, I just wanted to see and experience Glasgow. And I was just over from Spain, and the food in Spain is fantastic, and food in Glasgow's good, but it's not the best for your old heart. It's quite heavy and stodgy food, but I had a fantastic breakfast before I left and went on the open top bus. But it did give me a little bit of indigestion. I'm at that age, indigestion. I need to know where the toilets are. I also need to keep the old Bismol to drink, settle my stomach. So that was my day today. But in the conversation with the hairdresser, we were chatting away about life expectancy. And I was talking away about China and the food in China and how in China people are quite slim compared to here in the UK, a little bit healthier in China, and hence why their life expectancy is going up. And again, you see quite chunky people here. There's levels of obesity, and I'll use that word, quite high, and that may be affecting the life expectancy. And similar, I think, in Spain, I saw the same, even though the food in Spain is fantastic, I saw the same, quite large people there, but not as bad maybe as what I see in the UK. So there's certainly something going on with our food in the UK. But during the conversation, we both agreed that at least it's not America, because the healthcare in America costs a lot of money, and the hairdresser was waiting to go in and see about a bad back he had because he'd been barbering all his life. So anyway, we were chatting away again, and we were talking about the medical situation and medical care in America, and I had also said that in China it's actually quite efficient. It's almost like a factory approach, and depending on how much you pay, you can see a much higher graded specialist and so on, but it's like just a factory basically, but people get the medical care they need. And he was quite surprised at that. So during the conversation with the hairdresser, I was saying that, and we both agreed that if we had an American healthcare system in the UK, it would ruin the country, and we should protect everything that we possibly can in the UK and avoid losing the NHS to the big influences. And I was explaining that I pay in China for private healthcare, but I only pay 20% of that cost because I pay an insurance company, and 20% is eye-watering when you think about it, and you see that bill. Anyways, we're chatting away. I was explaining to him a couple of things about the American medical system, and I'd said in the Obamacare, for instance, Obamacare is quite interesting because Obamacare is structured in a way that the companies that use and utilise Obamacare, that you have to use if you take certain medical insurance, they're only allowed to make 15% profit, and that's the policy. And if you're only allowed to make 15% profit, what's your options if you need to keep growing your profit? Then the only options is to increase what you charge. So 15% of $1 billion is a different amount of money from 15% of $5 billion, obviously. And then the other thing is you need to grow your cohort, you need to grow the amount of people that actually are using your system. That's why they prescribe a lot of medicine and say there's a lot of these new illnesses and stuff, because it's just making everybody sick. Now, the other interesting thing is the food companies. They're also not helping the American population because the food in America is full of additives and colourings and chemicals, and a lot of that food is actually banned, and we're not even allowed to sell it here in the UK. In fact, there is a situation where the factory can make one type of cereal, Kellogg's factory, and that goes to American markets full of chemicals and stuff, and the other stuff which has got more natural additives, natural colourings, goes to the Canadian market in the same factory, one way, the other way. And so it's bizarre. So you've got the situation in America, you've got the food industry is poisoning the people with all this chemicals, processed food. You've got the medical industry ripping people off by the misdiagnosis of definitely some illnesses and so on, and the exuberant charges of medical bills. And now they're talking about this new diet pill, Ozempic, which they're saying they may have to go on for life to avoid your obesity issue. And the whole thing is just crazy for me. And that's the kind of mood I've been in over the last, week or so. But my mood has lightened. I went out on an open top bus, as you've saw some video content, and that helped me maybe reflect a little bit more. And I did get into some of these dark thoughts about life expectancy and food. And incidentally, another thing I'd said to the hairdresser, he wasn't aware that most of the cigarette companies actually tobacco companies own the food industry. Because back in the 80s and 90s, when they were getting caught out about the tobacco and tobacco being bad for people, and it was going to get banned and different legislation was coming in, they were going to have to pay a lot of fines and so on. The tobacco companies had a lot of money, and they realised this, and they decided to buy the food industry, and that's what they did. And they used the same mindset of marketing, use of additives, chemicals and so on that was in tobacco, that same mindset, that's the same scientists and everything, and they just use them in the food industry. And that's why the food and processed food in America is probably not something you want to come here in the UK. Anyway, sees the guy drinking a beer. My takeaway from the last week and a lot of reflection is that I need to look after my own health a little bit more, and I hope you can look after your health more, look after your family and your community. I'm heading back to China soon, middle of next week, after Monday, and I'm looking forward to getting back, eat good food, concentrate on my own health, think about my life expectancy, knowing that it's going to be 80 or so. My mother lived to be 95. I do think I've got a long life ahead of me. I hope the same for you. I ask you to take care of yourself, family, your community. And as always, peace out. Enjoy the video, and I hope you enjoyed the video I shared with you of the open top bus in Glasgow.